Vice President, SBA Love. Arnold Silver, our President, is absent this month. And I don't have any business to discuss. Group business. Does anyone else have any topics they want to bring up for discussion? Do we have group business? If not, it's my great pleasure to present to you Allison Sheridan of NosillaCast podcast. And Allison has presented to us several times before. We're very fortunate to have her tonight. And the subject of the meeting is going to be features for the blind on the iMac and the iPhone. Please welcome.
So, as he said, my name is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast Mac podcast. I've been podcasting for a little over 7 years. I don't know if you guys do podcasting, but I taught a podcasting class in here several years ago. The first time I was here, and I had the pleasure of meeting Margaret. That's where I first met Margaret. Now she's become a dear friend, so it's all your fault.
That's my first meeting, too.
Well, there you go. It all started there. So I've been doing this podcast, like I said, for a long time. I've got 370 episodes. My tagline is a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. In fact, a giant Macintosh bias. Even though I bought a Nexus 7 tablet today, the new Android tablet, but we won't go into that. So I can make these charts available too afterwards. So if you, I don't know if there's anything worth writing down other than the name of my website, podfeed.com. Named because my husband says I have feet like pods. So what are you going to do? So a question might be, why am I talking about Blindfold? Because I am about being blind. Because obviously I am not blind. I just really like learning new stuff. I like learning new stuff on the computer. I like learning it on the Mac, on the iPhone, this kind of thing. And so I found out about the accessibility features that they have on the iPhone and the Mac. And I thought, wow, that looks like something I don't know how to do. I should learn how to do that. So I started playing around with it. And then as I got into it, I started reading more about how many people actually are blind. 1.3 million people are legally blind. That's a lot of people. Anybody in here know anybody who's blind? Yeah, there you go. Almost everybody knows somebody who's blind. I actually now have about 30 friends who are blind because I've started talking about accessibility, and I've got all these new friends, so it's pretty cool. Podcasting is fantastic for the blind because they can listen, right? They don't have to read or anything like that. There's also 70% unemployment in the blind community, which is just appalling. And so if there's ways that Apple is being able to make things on a more even playing field for them, I'm all for it. You know, I think that's fantastic. Like I said, I'm fascinated by the whole thing. It's almost like learning a new language to do this. So when you first turn on the Mac, if you're blind, actually, next time you buy a new Mac, if you ever buy another new Mac, I have a Mac for sale, by the way. When you first turn it on, don't do anything. Just let it sit there. If you wait long enough, it comes back and it says, so are you like blind or something? Why aren't you hitting any keys? It says it more politely than that. But it just says whack the space bar if you're blind. And you do that, and all of a sudden it starts a tutorial to tell you how to use the Mac blind. So you don't have to do anything. Being completely blind, you could set up a Mac all by yourself. You cannot do that on Windows, in case you're wondering. There's a voiceover manual, and I put a link in there I guess there are good things to write down. But the biggest help to me was the blind community. I started to get to know people because I was talking about it on Twitter and email and user group things I was talking about. And I got to know all these people who would say, oh yeah, no, you don't use the stock setting. Go change this. Set this little fiddle there. Turn this sideways. And I got a lot of help from them. A lot of practice. I did this speech at Macworld in January. I crashed and burned. So I am actually going to do part of this blindfolded because that's a pitch. I had to take the blindfold off twice at Macworld. We'll see how well I do here. Well, I crashed so badly I'm not even nervous tonight like I was up there. But a lot of practice, and I still had trouble. So I want to do a little exercise. If you guys have iPhones or iPads, if anybody has one, I want you to take it out. Actually, yeah, let's do this out of order just because it makes my husband crazy when I do things without practice doing it out of order. Nope, hang on. Full screen. I'll do something here. I'm doing something so that you'll be able to see the my It's not doing it again. Okay, why is that? You're supposed to be able to see my screen. Dang it, I did it just a second ago. You guys saw it up on screen, right? That's still on black dart, and that's still on black dart. Why is it not coming up? Well, you're not going to be able to see what's on my screen because now it's not working. So our first failure for the day. All right, let's go back into here and let me...
we had a failure of our network. I don't know if that's...
Well, I think I believe I'm on my own network. Let me just double check that. That would certainly cause it if I wasn't. But I don't know how I would have gotten on to your network. No, I'm on the right network. So take your iPhone and first tap on settings, which would be really fun if you could see my iPhone like it was supposed to be. And then click on General. And then scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see Accessibility. Next, what I want you to do is don't go to VoiceOver, which is the first thing you might want to go on. You're going to go down to a thing called Triple Click Home. And when you tap on Triple Click Home, I want you to set it to VoiceOver. So what that's going to do is anytime you want, you can triple click the Home button, hit it 3 times, and VoiceOver will turn on like this. Can you hear that in the back?
Yes.
If I hold it like this. So right now, well, let me keep going with my presentation. I'll come back to this. So by having that ability to triple click and turn it on, and more importantly, triple click and turn it off, you might be willing to play around with this because it's really fun to play with, but it's really, really, really hard to use. And you'll be going, how do I get out of it? She didn't tell me how to get out of it. So if you just triple click and turn it on, triple click and turn it off, that's the easiest thing to do. So when you turn it on, basically what's going to happen is it reads aloud anything you touch. So if I touch on messages, that isn't very loud, is it? I got that up all the way, I think.
Messages.
I'll go backwards.
Messages. Calendar.
You know what, I'm going to sit down near it. Maybe my mic will be near it as well. That's as loud as it goes. All right.
Messages.
Is it
Calendar.
better?
Camera.
Yeah.
Double tap to open.
So I'm just dragging my finger across it, and you can hear everything that it's doing.
Double tap to open.
So when you get into typing, it gets really, really tricky because what happens is you touch a letter, and the voiceover lady will tell you what letter you're on, and then when you lift your finger, she'll tell you that you typed it in a different voice. So you hear her say L, L. It's sort of this weird two-voice thing going on. So you can hear it as you're typing, you can tell the difference, and I'm going to do a demonstration of that when I put my blindfold on. If you can't tell what letter she said, like let's say you can't tell whether it's M or N, she'll say Mike and November when you get on those letters. If you just stay there, if you wait a second, she'll say Mike. Oh, okay, that's M, I want it N. So that's kind of handy. So that's how VoiceOver works on iOS. And I put in a screen here so that when we post these charts, you'll be able to follow along with exactly what I said here. I forgot I put those charts in. That would have been really good when I was telling you how to do it. But again, you can simply turn on VoiceOver, but it's actually really, really annoying, like I said, to get out. So let me try that one more time. I really want you to be able to see this on screen. Let me try quitting it and reading. My husband says not to change things at the last minute. I don't know why he says that. No adventurous spirit, in my opinion.
804. Take picture. Unlock. Take picture. Unlock. Slide or double tap messages. Double tap to open app switcher. Page 204. Page 204. Page 204. Bottom of screen. VoiceOver off.
Turning her off for a second. There it is. Yay! I had to start it up again. Hearing on. There we go. Yay! Okay. See, that was worth the trouble, right? So you can see as I'm dragging around. Oh, I gotta put it back on.
VoiceOver on. Message. Calendar. Photos. Camera.
See how that's working?
Can you do the settings again?
Double tap.
Sure.
In the beginning?
Let me turn it off.
VoiceOver off.
So I'm going to start at settings. Whoops, sorry. It should. So if you go into settings, go to general, then go to the very bottom is accessibility. And then you can simply turn it on here, but like I said, you have to know how to use it if you do that, and you'll never get back out of it. You'll be cursing that Allison, why she taught me to do this. So instead, go all the way to the bottom of that page and go to triple-click home and set it to voiceover. So here's something everybody in the room is going to like. This is going to be the bonus prize. In this same menu, in accessibility, up at the top, do you see this thing that says Zoom right there? Oh, it didn't scroll it, did it? Did it stop scrolling? I wonder whether VoiceOver messes up the reflection app that I've got on. That might be it.
VoiceOver on. Settings.
That's very interesting. Huh.
Background.
Well,
VoiceOver off.
that is not working quite as smoothly as I had hoped. Let me quit that real quick and go right back in. One more time. This will be my last shot at it. Over. There we go. 470. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right, so if you go into settings, and you go into accessibility where I went before, but tap on Zoom, and you turn that on. Now, no matter where you are, you can zoom in on your screen. I don't know about you, but I can't see anything anymore. So I'm not blind, but I miss a lot these days. So if I'm going to double tap with 3 fingers, and it's going to zoom back out. So let's say I'm looking for, I'm trying to look at that darn Google Maps where they draw the text about 1-point font, right? I can zoom in like that and see what I want to see, and then zoom back out with 3 fingers. Isn't that cool? That was the exciting part right there. It's all downhill after this. All right, cool. I can hear some people have it on. All right, good.
Do they know how to turn it off?
What's that?
Do they know how to turn it off?
Yeah, hit triple click home 3 times. Quickly, like dot, dot, dot. Did that work? Yay, she's got it. All right, all right. So if you do want to practice this at home, I went ahead and put a chart in there that shows you how to put on Zoom. I keep that on my phone all the time because I'm like sitting in the car and I don't want to get my glasses out to read that stupid phone number. I just double tap with 3 fingers. There it is. Double tap with 3 fingers goes back to normal. So that makes me really happy. You got something, whether you're blind or not, you got something good. So that's how VoiceOver works on the iPhone, and I am going to do a demo that's going to be frightening. But on the Mac, there's also VoiceOver, except there are hundreds and hundreds of crazy keystrokes and finger things you got to do, and just, it's insane. I've got a chart here that shows you how crazy it is. In this demo, you're going to hear me say Control Option or VO. So the Control Option keys held down together are called the VoiceOver keys. So when you hold those down, that's going to allow you to do VoiceOver kind of things. So you have to hold down the VO keys. So you'll hear me say VO blah blah blah, VO blah blah blah. I mean, I'm holding down the Control and Option keys. So you need to do a lot of stuff to interact. Well, so when you look at a web page, you're looking at Yelp. That's going to be my example web page. You just scan the whole thing with your eyes, right? You can just see here's everything on screen. Well, in order to interact with that, when you're on VoiceOver, you have to go into a mode called Interact with HTML Content. So you hold down the VO keys, and you hold down, let's see, VO Shift down arrow allows you to interact with it. Like if you want to fill in a form on a web page, like you want to fill something in. In order to stop interacting, you have to pop back out. So you do Control, Option, Shift, up arrow. So you're doing this Control, Option, Shift, down arrow, Control, Option, Shift, up arrow, and you're popping up and down and up and down. And then if you want to hit a button, if it tells you button, if you hear the word button, you have to hit Control, Option, Spacebar. And if I accidentally hit the Shift key at the same time, you're going to hear me swear because I don't know how to get out of what that does. So, and then there's this whole thing called the rotor, and I'll show you what it looks like if we have time at the end, but it's crazy. I don't understand the rotor. I've got a little bit of use of it, but just barely. So that's pretty crazy. Here are 6 out of 15 of the VoiceOver commands to choose from. I took screenshots because I just couldn't believe how crazy that was. I mean, I just sit there, I look at that and I go, I'm just going to go to bed now. I don't know how they learn it. I talked to a lot of the blind people. They said, oh, heck, we don't learn a lot of that stuff. Oh, one other thing they did tell me about, as you're going to see how painful it is to watch me type on the iPhone, after I finished learning it, they all said, oh, heck, we use Bluetooth keyboards. We don't type. They made me learn it first, though. All right, here we go. We're going in. Let me make sure the phone is in the right position to start. Okay. I'm actually going to quit this for the moment here. I'm going to turn on the reflection app again. Hopefully, this time it will work first try. No, it's not working first try. I don't understand why it does it sometimes. If any of you guys have Apple TVs, it's using the same functionality that lets you do the Apple TV. Using it sometimes.
Airplane.
Yeah. Put that one more time. Trying to bring this up. I could ask the developer why this happens 50% of the time here. And full screen. Nope, we're not going to get lucky this time. What's that? I really got to figure that out because it's so cool when it does it. Okay, this is going to get boring if I keep going. So, all right, you're going to be blind like me. Here we go. Are you ready? All right, got to turn voiceover on first.
Voiceover on. Messages.
So you can hear?
Double
All right,
tap
good.
to open.
All right, so I'm going to be using a thing called split tap. So instead of double tapping, I found double tapping really hard to do. Because if I double tapped, I had trouble hitting the same thing twice. So my blind friends taught me to do a thing where you tap, put your finger on the thing you want, and you tap with the other finger like that. It's called split tapping. So let me find messages. Okay, so
Calendar. Messages.
okay, what I'm going to do, my demo is going to be.
Is editing.
My demo is going to be, I'm going to create a text message to my friend Katie and ask her if she wants to go to dinner on Friday. I'm going to stop using the iPhone. I'm going to go over to the Mac. I'm going to open up a Safari. I'm going to navigate to Yelp, find an Italian restaurant nearby, and then I'm going to go into iCal and invite her to a meeting, or to dinner. So let's go. Okay, so the last thing I think she said was to field. It's actually a little hard for me if people are talking because I have to listen to this too.
2. Text field. Is editing.
Okay, so you notice she said is editing. That means I can start typing. So I'm going to start trying to type Katie's name.
U. J. I. India. U. U. Y.
I'm a touch typist and I have trouble finding the keys. There we go.
Hotep J. K. K. Z. J. A. A.
So you hear how she says it twice?
T. T. U. Off U. Uniform. U. Y. I. I. D. 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 F. D.
Come on. There we go.
Echo. D.
You hear her say echo? So right now I've put in Katie. So Katie's Google Voice number is probably on screen by now, which would be really cool if you could see it, but you can't. So
New message. Heading 2. Text field. Is that Katie Google Voice. Home.
there you go.
9 0 4 3 8 3
So I'm
7.
going to split
Tap
tap.
from address book. Button.
And that's not what I meant to do. What did I just do?
T. Tango. Katie Google Voice. Button.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Double tap to show more info. Double
Okay.
tap. Y. Text message. Text field.
Okay, now you heard her say text field, but she did not say text field is editing. So I need to split tap to get to is editing. Now I made a little noise. Let's see if she says it.
Capital Y.
Right.
Capital T.
Come on.
Text message. Text field. Is editing.
There we go, is editing. So now I can write to her. So now here we go. This is exciting. I type almost 6 words a minute when I'm really cooking. Okay.
Capital S. Sierra. Capital A. Capital D. Capital D. K. I. India. O. O. Space. Space. Do.
Do.
G. Y. Y. O. O. U. U. Space. Space. U. S. B. W. W. Shift. A. A. B. Bravo. N. N. T. T. Space. Space. 1.
Do you want?
G. 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 I. O. O. Space. Space. 2.
Do you want to?
B. G. F. I.
Uh-oh.
Oscar. A. G. G. K. O. O. Space. Space. Go. F. G. G. T. K. O. O. Space. Space. 2.
Do you want to go to?
F. D. D. J. U. Not G. H. U. I. I. N. B. Bravo. N. November.
November. Okay, I want to make sure I was on N.
N. N. D. R, E, 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 R, R.
Okay, we got, do you want to go to dinner? Now I got to find the question mark, which I have to hit this, the more numbers.
More numbers. E, H,
Oh no, I have to double tap it. Shoot, and now I just put an H at the end.
T, E, L, delete, H.
There we go. Okay, now we're going to try to find that thing again.
More numbers.
Okay, here we go, here we go.
Exclamation mark.
No.
Exclamation mark. Question mark. Question mark.
Okay,
Here.
now I got to find the send key.
Send. Button. Send. Dim.
Woo! That was the easy one. All right, I'm going to take a sip here in between. What do I need that for? Oh, I could have projected it. Oh well. Thank you. I didn't even, you know what? And I have one right here. Didn't even think of that. Didn't have to fuss with that. Okay, now my contact lens is all messed up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn her off now.
Voiceover off.
Okay. So now I'm going to switch this over to my Mac so you can hear it talking. And so what I've done here is I've got a pristine Mac user account. So I created a separate account. I haven't added any software except that reflection app that wasn't working very well for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use any super secret tools. Everything you're going to see here is going to be from scratch, that you can do on your own computer. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I have trouble finding this when I'm sighted, is I'm going to turn on VoiceOver so you can see what it looks like.
Welcome to VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks descriptions of items on the screen and can be used to control the computer using only your keyboard.
VoiceOver on Finder, desktop, desktop.
Now he talks pretty fast, and by the way, I have it way slower than the blind guys do it. They tell me, they say, God, how can you do it that slow?
VoiceOver muted. VoiceOver unmuted.
So I got to remember how I mute him just temporarily. Okay, here we go. That just stopped making noise, didn't it? There are enough technical difficulties here. I better mute it. Okay, is that battery operated by any chance? Because it just died on me. You know, this stopped. No, nothing on the display. Is there a button on the front or something? I can't see that. I turn it off. I wiggled it in my pocket for a second. Blow on it. All right. Well, for the meantime, I can belt it out. When he plugs it in, you'll get blasted. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
No.
All right. Good thing I got a loud voice. Okay. Here we go. This is where I messed up, but I think I'm okay this time, if I can find the keys.
Desktop.
All right. Have you ever noticed there's little bumps on the keys that tell you where your fingers are supposed to go?
Yeah.
I'm looking for those right now. Did anybody know where they are? There we go. Thought it was dirt. Okay. So I'm going to use Spotlight to launch Safari to start with. So I'm going to hit Command Space.
Workflow. Content selected. Spotlight. Select A. F. I. Safari. Top hit. Safari. 21. Find. HTTP. Give HTML. Edit text. Google page has 20 links. 4 flow controls.
It's kind of distorted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Turn that down a little bit. All right. So I'm
You are
going to...
currently on the content list inside of HTML content.
So I'm hitting the control key to quiet him down every once in a while here. So I'm going to use a command that you can all use, which is Command L to get to the URL bar.
Open location, http://welp.elp.com, unhighlighted.
Okay, so I think I typed yelp.com. Now
HTML content, div text.
This is real interesting. Yelp doesn't tell you where you are. It doesn't tell you anything on screen. Let me
You
make
are currently
sure.
a window.
So there's if you hit the right and left arrow keys at the same time, that invokes a thing called Quick Nav. And at the beginning, I have to make sure it's off, and then later on, I have to make sure it's on. So I'm going to hit it once to see if it says it's off or on.
Quick nav off.
Okay, good. Now it's off. Okay, so now I happen to know that I'm in the, I think if I hold VO and both left and right arrows at the same time, it'll tell me where it is.
Popular, menu button.
I probably just screwed everything up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to
You are
Yelp at
currently
the
on menu
beginning.
button. http://L:/O:/M, unhighlighted.
Okay.
Div tab.
I'm going to assume that right now I'm sitting in the search thing. So I'm going to look for an Italian restaurant.
You are currently on a text field inside of HTML content. To enter text in this field, type San Francisco restaurants, San Francisco, CA, content selected, New York
I'm
address.
going to look at San
neighborhood,
Francisco
city,
because that's where I
state,
did the
edit
demo the
text.
first time. All right. So now, I'm not going to get hardly any
You are
feedback
currently
at
on the
all.
content list inside of HTML content. To begin interacting with the items in this list, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow, italic.
Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to jump from heading to heading on this page, because if I have to read the whole page, I'll go out of my mind. So I'm going to hit the right and left arrows at the same time, which invokes this quick nav feature. And if you have this special checkbox checked correctly in the control panel, it'll allow you to jump from heading to heading. So I'm going to hit that.
Quick nav on.
Okay, so now if I can find the H key, I can actually jump from, oh, don't do that. Every once in a while I hit the trackpad and then everything goes bad.
Adding level 1 2 items. Italian restaurant, San Francisco.
Okay, good.
Adding level 3, sort by.
So what I'm looking for is I'm going to look for it to start listing restaurants for me.
Adding level 3, neighborhoods. Adding level 3, distance. Adding level 3, features. Adding level 3, price. Adding level 3, category. Adding level 4, link. 1. Ristorante Milano.
Okay, there's a restaurant. I'm looking for a restaurant called La Traviata.
Adding level 4, link. 2. Lupa. Adding level 4, link. 3. La Traviata.
All right, we found it. Now things get scary. I'm going to hold down VO and right arrow, and I'm
You are
listening
currently on heading level
for.
4 inside of HTML content.
I'm listening for it to tell me the address. And when I get to the address, I'm going to do something really tricky. Here we go.
Large equals M at 179000000.
And I don't know what that is.
Equals P, and X equals 3.
That didn't used to be there. Luckily, I practiced before I came tonight, and it's talking about the image, the Google image that's to the right. So I'm going to hit a couple of those, but then you'll hear it make sense again.
4.0 star rating, image, 269 reviews, group,
That's
with
good.
items.
4 stars sounds good.
Link image, POWERATPY,
Another one of those goofy things.
Large equals M at 179000000, and HO equals on the SRC. Large equals M at 179000000. Category, link, Italian, group, with 2 items.
Okay, here we go. I think the address is next. And I'm going to do something really tricky. When that comes up, I
You are
need to
currently on
copy.
group.
I need to copy the address, and in order to copy it, I have to hit Control Option Shift C as soon as he says it, and then that allows me to copy the last thing he said out loud. So if I screw up, I have to do it again. So everybody, really tense. Here we go.
2854 Mission Street, San Francisco, CA94110. Last phrase copied to the pasteboard.
Woohoo! Okay, I think I got it. We'll find out when I get there. Okay, so I'm going to quit Safari.
Finder, desktop, desktop.
Now I'm going to launch iCal. Let's see where my keys go. Here we go.
Safari, content selections, L. iCal, top hit, Finder, iCal, window. Wednesday, June 27, 2012. List 4 of 7 has keyboard focus.
Okay, so I'm going to hit Command N, which allows me to make a new appointment.
You are currently on a list inside.
And it's going to say some stuff in a really weird, creepy, kind of scary voice. Here we go.
New event, movie at 7 p.m. on Friday. Edit text.
Why is that guy have to have such a weird voice? Okay, here we go.
Dinner. Space I 8 space with AIE space AT space at.
Let's see.
6 space N space FIAY Friday.
Okay.
Dinner with Katie. Content selected. Title. Edit text.
Okay. So with any luck, we have an appointment up for 6 o'clock on Friday, but I'm going to verify all of
You are
that.
currently on a text field. To enter text in this field, type. Event details. Scroll area.
So I don't know why it calls that entire block there scroll area. I have no idea why it does that. But I'm going to have
You are
to
currently on
interact
scroll.
with it. In order to interact with it, I have to do that Control Option Shift down arrow nonsense. So
Area.
here we go.
To begin interacting with the contents of this, interact with event details. Scroll area. 24 items. Low.
So now I'm going to hit the Control Option right arrow, and I'm going to bang through all of these options here.
Location. Edit text.
Okay, so it wants me to drop in the location, so I'm going to try to find Command V to paste in what I
You are
found.
currently on a text
If
area.
I do it wrong, it says square root. No, that's not it. Let's see.
Items.
Okay. All right, I think I figured out if I hit these 2 things, I can make it say it.
Location. Edit text insertion at end of text. 2854 Mission St. San Francisco.
Woohoo!
CA94110
Hey.
group with 2 items.
We're cooking. We're way past where we were at Macworld. You're getting a good show. All right, so now I'm going to keep doing the Control Option right arrow.
All day. All day. Unchecked checkbox.
I don't want to have dinner all day.
From June 292012 to 6 p.m. From date and time.
From 6 o'clock, good. It got the right time.
To June 292012 7 p.m. to
Oh.
date and time.
There's no way Katie and I are eating in 1 hour. You got to see how much we like to talk. So I'm going to try to edit that. So I have to do Control, Option, Shift, down arrow to, again, interact with text. So each time you're doing this, it's like you're diving deeper down into something, and then you have to come back up. So Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
Interact with date and time, 2012.
Okay, now I'm going to Control, Option, right arrow over to the time.
June, day 29, 7 p.m.
Okay, and I'm going to hit just Control, Option, up arrow. I think it changes it to 8.
8 p.m.
Good. So now Control, Option, Shift, up arrow to get out of this interaction.
Stop interacting with date and time.
Okay?
Repeat. None. Repeat.
No
Pop-up
repeat.
button. Show as. Busy. Show as.
Sure.
Pop-up. Calendar. Home. List. Pop-up button.
Sure.
Alert. None. Alert. Pop-up button.
Okay, so you've heard it say pop-up button. I have to do something completely different to interact with the pop-up button. I
You are currently on pop-up.
have to hit Control, Option, Spacebar.
Menu 6 items. Check mark. None.
And then I'm going to do the up arrow, I think. No,
Check mark. None.
that would be down arrow.
Message.
Okay, good. And I think an Enter takes that.
Closing menu. Event details. Scroll area.
Now, for no apparent reason, it has gone all the way back to the top. So I have to go down all the way through everything we
You are
just
currently
did.
in scroll area.
So I'm going to hold down Control, Option. This time I'm just going to go straight down.
All day. From. To. Repeat. Show as. Calendar. Alert. Alert. Invitees.
Okay, invitees, good. We want to invite Katie to the meeting.
Add invitees. Button.
Okay, so that's a button, so that's Control, Option, Spacebar again.
None. Invitees. Edit text.
All right.
K-A-T-I-E. At.
This is Katie from Mac Power Users, by the way.
M-A-C-P-O-E-R-U-E-R-S. Period. O-M. Com.
All right, now I have to stop interacting with all of this stuff, so Command, Option, Shift, up arrow.
Stop interacting with event details. Scroll area.
And now,
ATIE and Macword. Delete button. Send button.
and I don't actually ever have any email set up in this account, so if I hit Spacebar, that would send, and I did it! Oh, that was so much smoother. You got to go watch the other one because it's awful.
Voiceover off.
So one of the things that people told me at the other one though was, by the way, I expected to look up and you'd all be gone. You walked out on me. Sorry,
You
my
got this on your podcast?
Yeah, we're recording this right now. We may play this exact version, or you may have to watch the gruesome one from Macworld if we don't end up posting it. I'm not sure, but I'll definitely be talking about it, that I actually did it without massive failure. But the people that went to the other session said that they liked it better. They liked that I had so much trouble because it really showed them how incredibly difficult it is. What had happened, remember I told you my husband said I shouldn't change things at the last minute? At the last minute I thought, you know, it would be really cool if this presentation were just on the desktop. And somehow I got stuck to it. It was like my foot was stuck to a piece of tape on the ground and I was going around circles and I couldn't get off of it. And to this day I don't know what happened. I've tried to reproduce it and I don't know how it happened. But I'm sure you still got the idea that it's pretty tricky stuff to try to do. It's pretty hard. So let's see, we went there, demo. So the main things that I learned from this exercise was that iOS for VoiceOver is way, 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 way easier than I thought. I mean, I didn't learn to do a lot in there, but I was able to launch an application, type in a message, and hit send. And on the Mac, it's like there's so many degrees of freedom too, because you got separate windows and you're popping in and out, and this Control Shift Option up and down arrow. You know, it gets really, really hard. And one of the things I thought was really interesting was my brain. Like I said, I'm a touch typist, but I had a lot of trouble teaching my brain to know where those letters were. They know where they are. I mean, I can type, you know, 60, 70 words a minute. I'm just fine. But you do it with your thumbs, and also it's like, where's L? I don't know. And I was just looking all over. So I actually had to learn how to do that. I was trying to show a young friend of mine how hard this was. She's 29. And I hit her on my phone. I said, yeah, you do it. She went, bap, 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 typed perfectly, first time. It's like she didn't miss any keys. She didn't have any trouble. She was hitting them. She goes, I do it under my desk at school all the time. So, let's see. One of the things that's fun about this is now I can test apps for people to find out whether they're accessible. Because my blind friends, whenever I tell them something's cool, they'll say, "Oh, yeah, that's great, but is it accessible?" Well, now I can find out. Before I just go, I don't know, what am I looking for? You know, what should it be able to do? So one of the apps I found was an app called Maccash, and I loved it because I went in there and I tested it, and it was accessible. So I wrote to the developer and I said, wow, that's awesome, you made that accessible, that's great. And he said, I did. So it turns out it's not really hard to make it accessible if you follow Apple's rules. So I don't know if there's any developers in the crowd, but I had a guy named Donald Burr on my show like about a month ago, and he walked through exactly how to create your app so that it is accessible. And that's kind of cool because he helped us get some tips out to people. So you really are dependent on the web designer. One of the things I tried to use was Urban Spoon, I think it was. I tried to use instead of Yelp because I was having a little trouble with Yelp. There's nothing accessible on the screen. There's no headings. You have to just click through word by word by word by word. Oh, it was just, and it was a nightmare. It was like when you asked for San Francisco, the first thing it did was give you a list of the 20 boroughs in San Francisco. It was a nightmare. So for the love of Pete, please use headings is one of the things I say. So the other thing is you're dependent on the application developers. Firefox is inaccessible. I can't do what I did on Firefox. I have to do it in Safari. I've heard that Chrome is, but I haven't had the nerve to really test it. And Apple has made a lot accessible, but it's still pretty hard. You know, that is a lot of gene splicing I had to do that. If you weren't really dedicated to learning, it'd be tough. Oh, one day I had a problem on my Mac. I couldn't figure out, my cursor disappeared. And I was like, well, how do you even reboot if you don't have a cursor? The only thing you can do is, you know, shut power down. I turned on VoiceOver and I navigated to the menus and selected shut down. So I actually had a tool in my arsenal that I didn't have before because I knew how to use VoiceOver. Another thing, for the short fleeting moment I was able to display this on screen, did you notice that there was a black box around whatever I was touching? Well, a lot of people have been wondering, how do I show something on screen but have you be able to see where I'm touching it? Well, it turns out you can turn on VoiceOver, mute the voice, and then move around, and it shows the people on screen exactly what you're touching. So it's a way to do a demonstration with it. So that's kind of just a side little cute trick. The other thing I learned is the blind community rocks. These people, Buddy Brannon, Slough, Daryl Shandro, Dan Ackmeyer, Donald Breda, Keith Watson, Joshua Leah, Kevin Lau, Scott Howell, James Austin, Bill Houghton, Dr. Robert Carter, Laura Schindler, and most recently Summer 72H on Twitter, and Yadil Sotomayor have been helping me with this. All of these people gave me tips and tricks along the way and really helped me learn how to do this. So I had a lot of fun with it, and I hope you learned something from this, because I think that's the finale. Oh, extra special thanks to Katie Floyd for letting me send her text messages over and over and over again. I didn't warn her I was doing this tonight, so she's been getting them all week. And to my husband, Steve Sheridan, for listening to endless repetition of typing on iOS as we're sitting down to dinner and that sort of thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any way you can get the guy that speaks a little more slowly?
Yes, there are actually, I can show you that. What time am I supposed to be, when do I get the hook?
9 o'clock.
Oh, I'll be off before then, you'll get an early evening. Because I didn't have any problems, it went a lot faster. Let's see. So, let's see, just find VoiceOver. Let's see. Oh, I know it is. It's a control panel of its own, the utility here. So there's a whole bunch of commands in here to turn things on, like verbosity. This is how much he says. So you notice I was stopping him in the middle of a sentence. I think the blind people stick it on low, where just tell me what I need to know. Like, because I have it on high, it's always telling me to interact with text, hit Control, Option, Shift, down arrow. But they don't have to hear that all the time, so they turn that off. You can hook up Braille readers. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're called Braille displays. It's a little compact thing about this big that has 18 cells across on the good ones. And they can feel with their fingers what's on the screen and read with a Braille display. I have a video of a woman named Allison actually doing a demo of it for me on my website. That's pretty cool. Let's see, speech. So here's Alex, is the voice I'm using. You can change voices.
Vicky, the best way to predict the future is to invent it.
That's a line of Steve Jobs, right? But here's where you can slow her down. By the way, like I said, my blind buddies are going, oh man, that's way too slow. So, you know, these guys are like this.
The best way to predict the future is to invent it.
Yeah, not me. I could probably use it a little slower.
The best way to predict the future is to invent it.
Well, you can do pronunciation, all kinds of things. Let's see, navigation. A couple of these things were really important, like VoiceOver cursor follows keyboard focus. I think that was important. They told me to turn that one on. But there's a whole ton of little app things. Oh, I told you I'd tell you about the rotor. So, let's see. I'm going to turn on VoiceOver. Let me hide everything. Let's hide others. Just so you have a clean screen here. Just get rid of all that. Okay. Get rid of that. So if I put 2 fingers down on my trackpad and I rotate, You're going to see things on screen. Whoops, I pushed. You're supposed to see things on screen. Let me see if I bring up Safari. Like I said, I don't really understand the rotor completely. Oh, I don't have voiceover on, that's why.
Welcome to VoiceOver.
Okay, here we go.
Voiceover on Safari.
Watch this.
Web spots, tables, landmarks, navigation.
My arm gets tangled.
Cap words, character words, links, headings.
So what that does, now that I've got it on headings, I can swipe with one finger. I was hitting an H before to jump from heading to heading. I can swipe with a finger now.
Heading level 1 to 1, heading level 3, basics.
So there's a lot of different ways to do things. I don't know what any of those other things mean. I think it's like if you're typing text, if you're typing a lot of text, you'd like to be able to jump word to word, for example. Let's see if I brought up, I just brought up text edit.
Text edit, untitled.
So now if I set this on words,
Ruler.
wait, not
Edit
that.
text insertion at end of Allison. Is
There we go.
this hello?
So I'm swiping up with my finger, now I can swipe down.
This is Allison.
I think you have just exhausted my entire knowledge of that. There is also the rotor on here, and the touch typing thing I was doing where I type and then I lift up, and I type and I lift up, and it's when I lift, she says the letters, that's touch typing, and I had to get that turned on using that silly rotor thing. That's what my friend Summer taught me how to do, so that was cool. Any other questions? Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Hopefully no one in this room will ever need it, but if you do, you know you don't have to give up your Mac or your iPhone, that's for sure. That's the way I look at it. Better to know, right?
So I have to give up my TV.
Yeah, you might have to give up your TV, but it's rotting your brain anyway. Oh, question?
So how would Siri come into play here?
Oh, that's a great question. You asked how would Siri come into play? And a lot of my blind friends said, yeah, we don't even type or use a keyboard. We just use Siri and she does stuff for us. Because they can voice dictate messages and things like that. So, and I can't remember what I saw about iOS 6 is having even more capability for the blind. So, yeah, Siri is definitely an advantage. This is not my phone. This is an iPhone 4S, but I don't have one, so I haven't actually played with Siri yet. And that would have been cheating if I said, watch, you can use a blind. Hi, this is Allison. Kind of a sport would that be, you know? I want to play one thing for you guys. I think I still have this on my phone. My friend Slough told me that you're going to have a ball with VoiceOver, Allison. VoiceOver is so easy. You're just going to have no trouble at all. Oh, good. I still have it. He said, you're going to have no trouble. You're going to have a ball. It's a piece of cake. About a month into me learning, I called him and I left a voicemail yelling at him. And this is the message he left back. Oh, wait, I'm not on speaker. Okay.
You are so brave to try and navigate Safari with VoiceOver.
So here he is telling me, oh, it's a piece of cake, you're going to love it, it's going to be no problem. And then he tells me, oh man, I can't believe you're doing that, you're crazy. Any other questions? I have some cards up here, by the way. I didn't think to bring a million of them, but yeah?
Yeah, and just a comment, you had a friend who actually started working in an Apple store?
Oh, yeah, Shane Jackson. For a while I had him on the show periodically, and Steve named that segment Down a Blind Alley with Shane Jackson, but he is a specialist at an Apple store in Montgomery, Alabama. So if you walk in there and you happen to ask a question about an iPhone, they would send you right to the blind guy. And he's also hearing impaired. He wears hearing aids and blind in a really crowded Apple store, and he works just alongside of everybody else. There's a show I really like called, by Dr. Robert Carter. It's called, I almost blew it again, the exact same mistake I made at Macword. He does the Tech Doctor podcast, and he interviewed Shane Jackson on his show, not the most recent episode, but the one before that. And Shane walks through and talks all about what it's like to work for Apple as a blind person. He said they treat him like an employee who happens to be blind. So it works out for him. One of the things I liked he talked about in this show was they put Velcro dots on the corners of the tables. So the MacBooks have 2 dots, and the iMacs have 1, and the iPhones have the dot flipped, or the crunchy side of the dot, so you can feel which one table's which. And that's all they do for him. It's crazy. Pretty amazing. They can and want to do everything. Did you know the camera actually, you can take pictures blind? If you turn on voiceover and try to take a picture, it'll actually say out loud, like if I were real close to you, it would say one face very close, or two faces. It'll actually tell you whether you've got the people on screen. Isn't that nuts? Any other questions? All right, thank you for your attention.